This can't be right. Oh my, this is already like going really bad. Hey y'all, we are on episode 2 of the Extreme Home Makeover series. If you haven't seen episode 1, go check that out first, then come back. Quick recap of episode 1. All the walls have been painted. Kitchen, dining room, entryway, and hallway. We emptied out the kitchen cabinets, and now the next step is to get them primed and ready for painting. Looks pretty clear. So here's my drawing of the kitchen. So I'm going to now number the inside of each of these cabinets, and then I'm gonna take all the doors off too. So I tried using Dollar Tree sticky notes here to label the cabinets, but they weren't staying on, so I ended up switching to blue tape because that worked much better. Everything is labeled. So we're gonna throw out these super outdated, ugly handles. We're holding on to the hinges, but I'm taking them out and numbering those as well in baggies. And I'm actually gonna spray paint that silver. Okay, so I think it makes more sense to unscrew all of the doors first and then clean. So I'm gonna do it in that order instead. This was behind the hinges. Look at that. Takes it right off. These screws look a little different than the screws that were in the door. So just to separate them off, I'm just putting them in plastic wrap. This, I'm not keeping this. I'm not keeping these either. I have all the hinges here from 1 through 14. I bought both of these, so I have 220 and then I have 180. From what I researched, for laminate cabinets, 220 is what I'm gonna use initially to get enough texture on these cabinets so that when I put the primer, it has something to adhere to. After I put the primer, I'll probably put 2 coats of primer. 180 is what I'm gonna use to sand after I've primed before I paint. I should also point out, this primer that I'm using, the bin primer, it technically says you don't need to sand, but because it's laminate cabinets, I just want to be safe, so I am sanding a little bit, but I'm not going too hard because you don't want to sand through the laminate material, which I don't think I will, but FYI. Hurt. I don't want to sand. Oh, shit. I was wondering why I had 2 of these ones. I had a feeling something was wrong because I had 2 of the 180s and only 1 of the 120, and I couldn't remember why that was. I probably just put dust in my eye. Okay. The 220 is what you use to sand after you've primed. 180 is what you're supposed to use to sand your cabinets before priming. Because I was really putting some elbow grease. I was like, wow, this sander is not doing much. That's why. The lower the number, the more abrasive the sand. Okay, so I have 2 of these so that I can do the base of the cabinets with one, and then I have another 180 so I can do all the doors. I probably just flatten this. Hopefully this is, I didn't wear it out, but whatever. I'm only gonna sand this side because I decided that I don't feel like painting the inside of the doors, and technically the doors are already one color on the outside and this plain color on the inside, so we're just gonna keep that going because we're running out of time, and I think my parents will be fine. So yeah, hopefully you can see this. I'm only doing it once. Yeah.
Why do we have to paint the doors?
Because they're like an ugly white. Why, you don't want to?
No, it's just there are a lot of doors.
I don't know, man. It's gonna look good at the end. You should probably get a professional sander thing, one of those sander machine things to do this, so you can save yourself some elbow grease. But you know me, just it's just cheaper with $2. Jeez Louise. Brother is putting in work. He painted all these doors white. These doors look so clean. Oh man, look how clean these doors look. Dingy, crisp. Dingy, crisp. I got primer, any old flimsy tray, and I actually have a Dollar Tree paint roller and paintbrush thing. And I went with Dollar Tree because I'm throwing this out once I'm done. It's just primer. I heard this primer dries really quickly, so I'm going to only pour little bits at a time because I don't want this drying out on the brush. I don't know, this is my first time using this. People say that this is the best primer because it's the strongest adhesive, especially if you're painting laminate cabinets, which this is. It looks like wood, but it's laminate. It's all sanded. I had to sand that with it on. I don't know how to take off that type of door. Also, I used trash bags to cover the stove. I know you can just unplug the stove and like pull it out, but I don't want to. I don't feel like it. So yeah. I don't really care to cover up the countertops because we're about to cover them anyway, but I just want to make sure that the primer isn't like unnecessarily all over the countertops. Okay, moment of truth. This is very thin and watery. I thought this was going to have the consistency of paint, but it doesn't. Very thin and drippy. Alright. Oh my god, this is so watery. This can't be right. Oh my gosh. This is already like going really bad. Okay, this is like watery. Is this supposed to be like this? It's like dripping. It's dripping. Take 2. I tried to wipe off as much as I could so that it wouldn't dry all bumpy. And it's already completely dry. So this stuff really does dry fast. They say thin coats, they are not joking. I guess I probably shouldn't have gone with the brush that absorbed so much, because even though I went with a thin layer, it still took in way too much paint. This one is made out of foam. It's made for super smooth surfaces. I don't know, man, trial and error. Really gonna tilt this all the way back so that all the paint piles up over here, and then I'm just gonna roll on this little piece right here. I went as thin as I could possibly go. This better not screw up because I'm getting annoyed. Okay. Ugh. This is the damage. Got one coat of primer. One coat of primer, and I primed this as well. So I'm doing a second coat now. I already finished this one. As you can see, it's like a solid white. I feel a little better. I've been trying to go super light, so I like barely get in there, and then I like roll it out, just so it's like a very thin layer. Ooh, see? Nice and solid. It's looking better now, so I feel better. I'm putting on the second coat. Like I said before, I'm only putting 2 coats of primer because, as you can see, the second coat is like solid. So, yeah. I'm using this area down here to paint the doors, or to prime the doors, so I'll just speed it up. Just put a second coat of primer. This is what the second coat looks like. This is 1 coat, this is 2 coats. So I was thinking about going over the primer with this 220 block, but I honestly don't really see a need for it. So I might go like lightly over certain spots like that, but I'm not gonna go ham all over this thing.